You are now rocking with the best. This is the Hall About Sports podcast with your host, the one and only Meg Hall. If you didn't know, now you know. I've got co-host Kev with me, and we have RJ Ellison in the building, as the kids like to say. This is from the Titans Colosseum Podcast. That is a mouthful, and we need to figure out how you guys came up with that name. So we're going to
Okay.
ask questions.
All right. Yeah.
Uh, but thanks for coming on. Thanks for hanging out with us outside of the
Mhm.
group chat.
Most definitely. Most definitely. I like hopping on. I like hopping on other people's podcasts. I mean, I've been on I've been on the Coast podcast on the AFC South fan battle. If you guys want to check that out, I think it's the Horseshoe Mob. Do you guys know who that is? Know about them? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was on the Horseshoe Mob. I was in there talking it up with them. They're cool people. You guys are cool people too. You know what I'm saying? So I always most definitely love coming on rival shows. So.
Which hey, we appreciate that. Like I said, it's a break from the group chat. So for those of you who don't know, RJ's in our like AFC South Twitter like group chat, and it gets spicy in there all the time. So I was like, oh, we got to get him to come on the podcast. And he's like, yeah. By the way, I have my own podcast, and I was like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
all right, yeah, we can definitely chop it up. So.
Mhm.
All right, for those of you who are watching and listening, we're going to just do a quick rundown of what to expect. So, for this podcast, we're going to do the starting lineup. It basically is how did you get your start? Tell us more about you. We're going to do a
Mhm.
special segment for RJ called Titans Talk. And we're going to talk and ask the hard questions about the Titans, like why Will Levis? And then we will do a post game presser. Basically, hey, ask us any questions that you like. We'll answer them for you. So,
Mhm.
all right, let's start with the starting lineup. So, how did you get your start, and what in the world is the Titans Colosseum podcast? We need the details.
Well, first off, I have to talk about how I get my start. First off, I started off. If anybody knows it, if you on Facebook, you want to get on the AFC South fan battle. I started off in there, and it was more so of me just in there just talking trash. Like, and when I first got into the group, it was Andrew Luck was pretty much dominating the division, and I had to sit back and watch Colt fans talk trash about my team, this, that, and the other. And I sat back, I took my blows. You know what I'm saying? I took my blows. I took my blows. And when soon as we got Ryan Tannehill and we started winning games, and I was like, okay, it's my turn now, man. So I brought back the same energy that was given to me. So and next thing you know, I became the Facebook comedian in the group. So I was in the group. I was consistent all the time. And one of the guys that's in there, he's a Houston Texans fan. He was trying to start a podcast for every single fan base that was in there, and he wanted me bad. Like he was like, dude, like you need to get on here, man. You say a lot of funny things, you know what I'm saying? Even though I may not like the stuff that you post every now and then, but you know what I'm saying? You gotta get on here, you know what I'm saying? But I thought about it, I didn't, you know what I'm saying? I was like, man, I don't want to do it, man. It's just too much time. I do other things, but then I got on, I talked to a couple of other people. Another guy that my co-host I wound up running into, his name Leonard Firestone. He's actually a big social media guy. If you follow him on Facebook, he has like a million some followers, that's that and the other. But like, man, he wanted to do it too, you know what I'm saying? And I talked on the phone with, he was actually he been liking the Tennessee Titans. He's actually from Oklahoma. He's been liking the Titans since they were the Oilers, so
Wow. Okay.
I love, that's one thing about me as a Titans fan. I love talking to or Houston Oilers, fans, because it's like, dude, like you have such loyalty to this franchise that you are willing to like them outside of the state of Texas. You know what I'm saying? You follow the franchise all the way to my city. And obviously, if you didn't know, the Tennessee Titans, when they first came to Nashville, they had this stadium was called the Adelphia Coliseum. I was there for it, you know what I'm saying? The 99 season, we wound up going to the Super Bowl that year. That was the very first year we were the Tennessee Titans. And the biggest thing about the Adelphia Coliseum is that we never lost there for like over 2 seasons. For probably about 2 seasons. I think one of the first loss that we had was actually to the 2000 Ravens. You know what I'm saying? They wound up going to the Super Bowl. And so the name Coliseum really really sticks with us because after the Adelphia, I guess we lost the sponsorship with Adelphia. It was the Coliseum, and then it turned into the LP Field. And it always, the Coliseum always sits back with me because people could never win there. You know what I'm saying? So. And so we decided to just name our podcast the Titans Coliseum. Got on here, got on the camera, loved it. You know what I'm saying? At first, if you watch our first episodes, man, you gonna be like, man, these boys have came a long way. Nowadays, it's a lot of gizmos and gadgets on there, bells and whistles on there now, so it's good.
Okay. Okay. So let me ask this. So obviously you're entrenched in it sounds like all things Tennessee football.
Yeah.
Any other sport that you like? So like if you weren't doing football, what would you be covering another sport?
I'm a big Los Angeles Lakers fan, so you know what I'm saying. I bet that, especially
Oh,
that game last night, man. Me and my dad was going crazy watching the game. So you know what I'm saying. Lakers. I am a Chicago Cubs fan too, so I see that you
Hey,
had a Cubs fan in
let's
the back, and I
go.
looked, I was like, "Oh, Cubs," but I'm not a big baseball person. Like I can't watch the Cubs when they're trash. Like, I'm sorry, I just cannot watch bad baseball. I'm just not that much of a fan with baseball. But when the Cubs are good, like when 2016 we won it all, you know, so I watched the whole thing because we were good. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I grew up on Sammy Sosa, so
Yeah, there we
okay.
go. Hey, I
that
feel
was
you
my
there.
very
2
first
decades
time.
of bad Cubs baseball is enough for anyone to stomach.
Yeah,
We've earned it. We've earned our,
yeah.
our fair weather season as Cubs fans.
They,
That's
they told me they told me as a Cubs fan that we would never win the championship, and all we did was prove them wrong. So I was happy.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. All right,
Mhm.
you said the magic words for Kev. Anytime he hears like basketball or baseball, he's like, "Oh, okay, my
No,
sports."
okay,
Uh,
okay.
Yep, a big basketball guy here. I mean, I'm a Pacers fan. You might see it behind me,
Mhm.
but I love the history of the sport. So I am not one who's I root for the Celtics and the Lakers every year because it's good
Oh
for
man, the
basketball.
green team.
Good for basketball. See, I don't have a runner in the race, so to speak. It's great for basketball. Like I'm rooting this year. I want to see Celtics Lakers in the finals just
I know
because
that's what I'm praying, but it
that'd
look
be
like
amazing.
it's not looking too good for Boston right now. I ain't gonna lie, they
Oh
getting
yeah.
beat to sleep right now. Like,
Mm.
but like I said, I did want to see Celtics Lakers because I think Celtics Lakers, like to me, like even if you're not a fan of basketball, you have to pick a side. You know what I'm saying? Like this, it's either do you like the green team or you like the purple and gold. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just
East Coast, West Coast. Yeah,
yeah,
you gotta.
it's big for sports. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reason why like I said, I grew up on Kobe Bryant, and now LeBron James is on the team. So you know what I'm saying, and that's how I feel.
as a Spurs fan, I feel some sort of way about the
Oh, you like
Lakers.
them? Yeah, we've
But
had too many battles.
a former Spur came to the rescue last night in the fourth
He
quarter with
did. He
15
did.
points of his own, Mr. Lonnie Walker the fourth.
Hmm.
So I just, wanted to throw it out there.
Hey,
Um,
I'm a big fan of Tim Duncan too, man. Tim Duncan, man, he's the most
hey,
underappreciated top 10 player I've ever seen. Like,
you know what? Thank
he's
you for saying that because I think anytime I tell people like, "Oh yeah, my favorite guy is Tim Duncan," they're like, "Oh, you just like boring players." I'm like, was he
eh,
boring or did you just not appreciate him?" Because I just,
yeah. It,
you
it
know,
it isn't a very I mean, I ain't gonna say like exciting game to watch, but it definitely he's probably the most fundamentally sound big man of all time.
big
You know,
fundamental. There you
Mhm.
go. There's a
He is.
nickname. So, all right, don't get me started because I'll be here all day talking
Yeah,
Spurs.
don't get me
All right.
talking about his passing game out of the post. We can't. You guys, everybody will run away.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's switch into the next segment. So this is called Titans Talk. So I want to set this up for you, and let me just make sure that I get my proper banner here because I want to, set the scene here.
Mhm.
Alrighty. So basically, we'll do a little bit of a different setup for everybody. We'll do the three side by side here. So let's talk about this. So the Jags won the AFC South.
Yeah.
The sky fell for Tennessee in more ways than one. Your
Mhm.
GM gets fired mid-season. Your ownership is like, absolutely not. You gotta go after AJ Brown completely wrecks the entire team. I would feel like
Yeah, he did.
just about.
He did.
So the Titans were expected to win the division. So from your opinion, from your lens, what happened? How did this unravel like this?
Well, I'll say it started off with the Bengals game. We were 7-3. We had just beat the brakes off the Packers on Thursday Night Football, and we was on the podcast during that game, and we were like, you know what, we got the Bengals next week, man. We definitely gonna win that because we just got beat by them in the playoffs. And that game, that's a scar on every Titans, you know what I'm saying, every Titan fans, in the chest, man. Like that was one of the worst games that I ever watched from Tennessee Titans. Um, and I was like, we're gonna be ready for the Bengals. I knew when we played the Bengals and we didn't beat them, I said, yeah, this season's done. If you
Hmm.
can't beat the Bengals after what happened last year, you know what I'm saying? I didn't see it in this Titans team. You know what I'm saying? I was like, any other Titans team I know, we would have came back and smacked them right in the mouth and beat them probably by like 20 points. You know what I'm saying? Once I seen the way the offensive line was that whole season with Dennis Daly and all the injuries that we had. I knew this season's a bust, but I mean we could still win the division. I mean the division wasn't good at the time, and Jacksonville, I had to give to Jacksonville. They got hot, Jacksonville. They won a couple games and they strung it into a couple victories. I'm not gonna sit there and this next season and crown them and say that they're gonna win the division automatically, because they got to earn it. You know, this time nobody knows. Everybody knows they're coming. You know what I'm saying? Everybody knows. Everybody has a year's worth of film on them. Trevor Lawrence to me is an above average quarterback. And, you know what I'm saying? He's good. He's an above average quarterback, but he's not no elite. He's not no Joe Burrow or anything. You know what I'm saying? He's a very good. He's a good quarterback. He's above average. He reminds me of when Tannehill first came to the Titans. That's exactly what he reminds me of. Like I said, yeah, everything did go wrong for us. But one thing I will say though is that the draft came, and I feel like we did get better in this draft. And man, I'll get to that later because I know you want to ask me that. So. But yeah.
no, it was a good kind of recap. So I will say this from a lowly Colts fan perspective. It was a stunning sight to see. I'm not even gonna lie to you. I think when we saw you guys, both games we saw you guys, we felt like we could have won those games, right? Like they were. It's not that the Titans
they're winnable for y'all.
Blew the doors off of us, but just we're beat up, we're looking a mess. Like we're like, okay, Titans look like they're gonna go win the division. Okay, cool. And then you just watch the injuries start piling up, and you watch the offense just become stagnant. And it really was shocking to me because I consider, Mike Vrabel one of the top, coaches in the AFC South, and really one of the top in football. I would consider him in that sort of atmosphere. So I was really shocked to see that product come from him. And I know it wasn't all, a Vrabel thing, so to speak, but just in general, to see that product from Tennessee and see that continued slide was like, wow, what is happening? And I think, like I mentioned, the A.J. Brown, Eagles game, I think that was a turning point for you guys because it was very much on its face like, hey, all these sins that John Robinson has committed for the last couple of years have now come to the surface, and they are nightmares now. So he gets fired right there, mid-season.
Which was a great decision. That was a great decision.
Hey, that was a gutsy decision. I will say that it was. Yeah, really, really gutsy. But you bring in now Rand Carthen to essentially atone for the sins of John Robinson. So let's walk us through, I guess, one, what were your initial thoughts on the hiring of Rand? And two, you mentioned the draft. He just had his first draft. What do you think that this draft said about his draft philosophy or where he plans to take the team?
Well, okay, we'll just start with Rand Carthon. First off, I don't want people to think that that John Robinson's a bad GM. He's not a bad GM. He got us out of winning 2 and 3 games every single season to winning, 9 games, 11 games, 12 games. The problem with John Robinson is that when he got to where he got us and with the 12 wins, he could not get us over the hump to become a Super Bowl team. And that was the problem that we had with him. The first round picks, he was taking too many stupid chances. After you messed up with Isaiah Wilson, why would you draft Caleb Farley? That shouldn't even have been on the table for him to draft. Why would you draft a cornerback that hasn't played in a whole year? The AJ Brown trade was stupid. All he had to do was just hold out, and I feel like he could have paid him later. Why would you trade the best wide receiver that we've ever had? And it just goes on to the Oilers. He proved this season that he's the best wide receiver that we've ever had. Once he got in a system that actually passes the ball, you can see how dominant of a receiver was. I mean, to me, he was already a top 10 receiver and with the Titans, but a lot of people didn't see it because obviously we run Derrick Henry 30 times a game, and so sometimes he may not go off. But when he did go off, you got to see the skill set with AJ Brown. And we'll get to Rand Carthon. I thought going through the process, my guy, I think it was Ian Cunningham. I think he wound up going to the Bears. I think Ian Cunningham was my guy. I can't remember. But I really like Rand Carthon. I saw him during the process. I was like, you know what? He has a 49ers in his background, this, that, and the other. And I really like that 49ers football team. I feel like they're a very complete football team. They just had too many injuries at quarterback for them to go to the Super Bowl. I just feel like that team, it was a complete there was nothing that they couldn't do. They could pass the ball, run the ball, play defense. They could stop the run, stop the pass, all that other stuff. They had the best defensive football to me. And a lot of the reason why the team looked the way it did is because of the later round picks that they had, like the Jawan Jennings, the Debo Samuels. They were all later round picks. George Kittle. And we found out that it was Rand Carthon was the one that's making those picks. That was help. Well, I ain't gonna say he's the one that obviously the GM makes the picks. He was the guy that was finding these guys and saying we got value with this guy right here. This, that, and the other. he's finding a lot of the later round picks became good depth pieces for them, and maybe and wound up becoming starters. So when I did my research on him, I really liked him. He was always my second guy. And once we picked him up, the videos of him walking in, and you saw like everybody in the Titans facility cheering this, that, and the other. Even though the wannabe Titans down there in Houston, they try to do the same thing that we did when they hired D'Amico Ryans.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
I gotta throw a shot at them, man. They want to be us so bad.
Oh no, I'm so sorry, Texans fans. I'm so sorry.
They want to be Oilers. No, but with Rand Carthon, man, I really like the pick. I like the energy that he's coming with. I like the offseason signings that he had. I feel like our offensive line took a very step forward before the draft, before we drafted Peter Skoronski. I like that we're moving Aaron Brewer from left guard to center because he is the smallest left guard in football. I don't understand why he was even playing left guard to begin with. I mean, we wind up getting it sucks to let go of Ben Jones because Ben Jones has been a stable for us for so long in the middle. And our right guard, who I just did not like, he could not stay healthy, with Nate Davis. He's gone, and I didn't really like him. I'm glad we did not pay him that contract, because John Robinson would have paid him, and we would have been more so in more cap hell, this, that, and the other. Also, another thing I meant to say earlier, that John Robinson, another reason I didn't like him is that he would pay players before he paid superstars. And I'm just like, dude, like, why he was paid? There was no way that we should have been paying Harold Landry and in our safety Armani Hooker before we pay AJ Brown, like, and Jeffrey Simmons. Like, that's dumb to me. Like, you see how long it took us to pay Jeffrey Simmons? Like, it should not have took that long. We wound up having to pay more money for him because we should have paid him before this season. Like, he could have got way less money, even though I'm glad that he got his money and got paid, but we could have paid him, got him for less money. That was all Rand Carthon. So I'm glad Big Jeff got his money. So Rand Carthon with his draft, he did ignore the wide receiver position, but I understand why he waited so long, because there was no value at the wide receivers. The wide receivers in this draft this year really wasn't that special unless you're looking for a slot wide receiver. I do like the wide receiver you guys drafted, though, Josh Downs. That was one of my guys that I was looking at during the draft process, and the guy that went to the Texans too, Tank Dell. He was another guy that I liked. But yeah, outside of Jackson Smith-Njigba, obviously the two volunteer wide receivers I wanted, I think Marvin Mims and the wide receiver Josh Downs and Tank Dell. Those are the wide receivers that I wanted the most. But yeah, other than that, like, I didn't really want to I didn't want no guys out of that one, out of the guys that I named. I do like the Peter Skoronski pick, but when we drafted him, I didn't like it because I wanted Jackson Smith-Njigba at 11. So, but. But now that I did my research on Peter Skoronski, I understood the pick because he can play all over the line of scrimmage, and that's one thing. If you guys, I don't know if you guys know who this is, but you guys happen to be familiar with Bruce Matthews, the Hall of Famer.
Old school.
Yeah, he was a former Oiler back in the day, and he wanted to play for the Titans for a little bit during our Super Bowl.
Is that Clay's uncle, right? That's the same.
It might be. Yeah, it might be.
It's the same family.
Yeah. When you said Matthews, okay. I was like, that Matthews?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember the exact relation, but that's a throw. Yeah, that's
he's considered probably one of the best offensive linemen ever. Like, the dude got a Pro Bowl at every position. Like, that's what I'm saying, that's ridiculous. And I feel like I see a lot of that in Peter Skoronski. So Skoronski can play on the offensive line anywhere. He plays center, he can play guard, and he can play tackle. And I like that. The versatility's there. It would definitely worth the first round pick. We need more good football players on this team. Second round pick. Okay. I one thing I had to do, I try to tell other Titan fans, dude, I know there's a lot of Titan fans that are Tennessee Volunteer fans, and dude, y'all have to put that Volunteer glasses down, man. I know he was trash against us, dude. He was everybody has lit up the Tennessee Vols this year, and the only guy that didn't light us up was Will Levis. Dude had 70 yards and 3 interceptions. He was so bad against the Tennessee Vols. Like, I was like, I pray that dude ain't never our quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But oh man,
the tables turned on that one. So
what were you thinking when he was drafted, though? Because you moved up to get him in the second round, by the way.
I was speechless because I have been roasting this dude on our podcast for about 3 months. You know what I'm saying? I've been roasting him this whole time. I just knew we were going to get Hendon Hooker because of the Senior Bowl. We spoke with him. We were the first team to speak with Hendon Hooker. So when we traded up, I'm like, oh, yeah, we're going to get Hendon, and next Will Levis, the Mayo.
Mayo Monster is what I've heard. That's the nickname, right? Right, Kev? That's the one we've been
hearing
all
the Mayo
It's
Monster.
so hard. I've been trying to talk myself into this Will Levis pick for about since we drafted him, dude. It's hard, man. Like I've been looking into it. So I've talked to some Kentucky fans, and the Kentucky fans have been telling me in 2021 he had an offensive line. He had Wan'Dale Robinson. He had,
had a healthy leg.
Yeah, he had a healthy. He was healthy. You got to watch that tape because this year they didn't have any of that. So they had no offensive coordinator, no line, no receivers, all this stuff. So that's why he looked that bad. And when I looked at 21 tape, it was good. I thought it was a good tape. You know what I'm saying? I definitely see why the comparisons are there for him in the NFL. Why he made some NFL throws. And I was saying this on my podcast. Yeah, he posted he's in 98. He was trash.
Bluegrass Bortles. I love that one.
Yeah.
I see that comment now.
Yeah.
So Mike from Tour the AFC South said Emory Hunt has the best nickname for Will Levis, and it's Bluegrass Bortles.
Yeah, dude. I'm gonna have to. So, but the one thing I also said is when I was saying on my Titans Colosseum is that every quarterback that we draft, he don't ever work out. Like I really like Vince Young. I really like Marcus Mariota. I really like Malik Willis. I really like Jake Locker when we got. I was like, yeah, man, we got Jake Locker, man. He was supposed to be the number 1 pick last year, and then you see how that turned out. And when we traded for Tannehill, I was so mad. I'm like, why would we get Tannehill? Like, you know what I'm saying? He throw all the picks in Miami. I was like, oh, I can't watch Titan football no more. Like, and when we got Tannehill, he stepped, man, and he's probably the second best quarterback we've had since Steve McNair, so I appreciate Tannehill. A lot of Titan fans don't appreciate him. They can't get over the Cincinnati game, even though like that game that still scars me to this day. I think that game hurts me more than the 2000 Ravens game, the 2008 Ravens game, the Super Bowl. Like, man, literally, that Bengals game, I'm telling you, that game hurt more than the Super Bowl. Like, I'm telling you, if we'd have beat the Bengals, nobody was beating us. I'm telling you, we beat the Rams already that season. We beat the brakes off the Chiefs that year. I'm telling you, we built that defense strictly for Mahomes. Like, we had the defense. But that Bengals game, I can never get over that one. What was I about to say? So Will Levis, like I said, he makes NFL throws. He can throw in the tight windows. He's fast. He's athletic. Dude can jump. I seen him jump over a dude. Like, I was like, whoa! I was like, that's pretty dope, man. He had a run against LSU where he broke like 5 tackles and got dragged 30 yards. Dragged the dude 30 yards and almost scored off of. So the talent is there. But one thing I will say though, and I was gonna say on Thursday's podcast was. One thing I like about him so far is that he is being highly disrespected by the media. He got highly disrespected at the NFL draft. The Titans fan base isn't gonna just like him the day he shows up. So everything that he does on this Titans organization will be earned. He has to he's not going to be loved. He's not going to be a household name the day he walks in. Everything he gets, he's got to work for. And I think that's going to make him better. You know what I'm saying? That's going to make him better. He knows that if I'm going to win this fan base over, I have to be a good quarterback, So that's one thing I liked about it. That apparently Mike Vrabel, when he brought Will Levis in, he put up a whole bunch of film with him, of all his mistakes. And he told him to walk through it. Walk through every single mistake that you did. Why did you throw this pick? Why did you make this read right here? And he said that they went through hours of film, just him just telling them what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I guess Mike Vrabel liked that. He probably, knowing Mike Vrabel, I'm sure he roasted him a couple times. Mike Vrabel's a very, he don't take no shit from nobody. Excuse my language. He don't take nothing from nobody. So I do like the Tajay Spears pick, even though one thing I will say about the draft. Yeah, one thing I like about this, outside the wide receiver position is that he answers all the questions I had about this team. We boost our offensive line. We got an answer from Ryan Tannehill once his contract's up. We have a backup running back for Derrick Henry. Finally, like I'm tired of when Derrick Henry come out the field. Nobody, y'all breathe as a defense. You know what I'm saying? Like no one cares about a team when Derrick Henry ain't out there. Now I think Tajay Spears brings another element to our offense, so he can be pass catch, he can run, run through between the tackles, run to outside, all this other stuff, but run out of the shotgun, all that jazz. I really like him. I watched his film and it blew me away. I see why a lot of Titans fans are mad because we were supposed to go wide receiver right there, but I guess they were saying there was no value. I know Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt came off the board right before we picked.
Yep.
So I understood why they picked him because they really liked him during the Senior Bowl too. Because I think he wound up running the route and making somebody fall, and I was like, yeah, that dude's a beast,
Yeah, biggest thing for him would be for him. Can he stay healthy? So
the ACLs
concerned, but I would say this: Tajay Spears was on the Colts radar as well. Colts had met with him and everything. Chris Ballard's a big Senior Bowl guy, aka we drafted 7 players from the Senior Bowl. But to that notion, like, yeah, if you watch the Senior Bowl, like if let's say you never watched Tajay Spears before this year, if you had watched the Senior Bowl, like I would have drafted him off a Senior Bowl alone. It was that good. I thought he did phenomenal at the combine as well. As his footwork was real smooth, very crisp.
He got really good footwork.
Like you wouldn't know that he had those kind of knee injuries and issues. So I think for him, can he stay healthy? Can he get to a second contract? Is going to be great. You're going to need it for Derrick Henry as well. You need a reprieve for Derrick Henry. He cannot be, King Henry every single down.
Exactly. Thank you.
So yeah, he's going to need some sort of relax. I mean, let me say this. I'm fine if it's not Derrick Henry in the backfield. Kev, you probably feel me on that.
I'm good. Yeah, just move on, guys. It's time for a new era.
Y'all been praying. Like every time I talk to anybody in AFC South, you gotta go trade Derrick Henry. You gotta go trade Derrick Henry. I'm like, dude, like, chill out. Like,
I mean, I'll say this. I got to see Derrick Henry in person last year. I went to actually a Texans Titans game, so it was Malik Willis and his debut. I went to that. I was at that game in Houston, right? And I'm watching. First of all, prayers up for Malik Willis because that was a rough game for him. His first game, and you could definitely tell, like, hey, rookie out there. But I'm watching Derrick Henry, and I've got pretty decent seats up in the stands or whatever else, and he looks ginormous from where I'm sitting. So I'm like, I know he's massive when you get down on the field. And just watching him completely dismantle the Texans defense like a one-man wrecking crew. And I'm like, Derrick, anytime you would like to go, I think the rest of the AFC would thank you. Like if you were to be like, hey, I retire tomorrow, we're going to be like, thank you so much, Derrick Henry. Way to go.
Yeah, he decided running through 8-man boxes wasn't enough. I'll just start catching passes out of the backfield now.
Yeah.
I'll just add that to my bag of tricks.
I'm gonna let y'all know now, man. Derrick Henry is still the best running back in football, and he's probably gonna be there for another 5 more years. This dude, man, he's a robot, dude. I'm telling you. Like, everybody's like, man, you can't have a running back run that many times. I'm like, dude, with this dude, you can't. You know what I'm saying? This big boy right here, this dude right here. There's a reason why he's so big on my dirt.
Oh man, he's a tank. He's a tank at running back. He's literally a defensive lineman at running back.
I've never seen nothing like it. I've never seen a running back with the work ethic that he does, dude. As soon as the season ends, he's already at Sanders fit, putting in work with no shirt on. You know what I'm saying? Out there running heels and stuff. And I'm like, dude, do you take a break? Like he said, he works 3 times a day. It works out 3 times a day. I'm like, man, I've never seen a running back like this. Like, and he said that he's on a mission to be in the league as long as Frank Gore. That was his mission when he first. I remember when he said it like 6-7 years ago. I'm like, long as Frank Gore. I'm like, you barely playing. Like, what you talking about? Like, I ain't gonna lie. Like that, we almost gave up on him. You know what I'm saying? But the first 3 years of Derrick Henry, we almost gave up on him. He was there. Mike Vrabel was like not even playing him. We were like, dude, I'm like, I said, why come we don't play Derrick Henry? Like, I'm like, this dude, he done had 100-yard games before, all this other different stuff. But he was running soft, man. Like, he get hit by the first person to fall down. I'm like, man, you running too soft. And then Eddie George talked to him, and that's when the Jaguars game happened, when he ran 99 yards and had like 5 TDs that game, and that's when he finally earned his name, Derrick Henry. You know,
I'll take it. He's still King Henry. He's still going to be King Henry for us. So you talked a lot about this draft, and I would say, wow, that was pretty comprehensive because I wasn't expecting that in detail. So that's how I know, like, you're in the trenches with the Titans fans.
Oh yeah. I'm born and raised in Nashville, Tennessee, man. This is there's a lot that the Titans do for this city. You know what I'm saying? They live, breathe, and sleep this city. You know, so I drive by the Titan Stadium all the time. So you know, I can't wait to get to see the new one though. So
I was gonna say, yeah, you're gonna get a brand new one. So
yeah.
Kev, I want to ask you, because you've been quiet over there. What from your perspective as a Colts fan, what did you think of the Titans draft?
Oh Lord, this would be good.
This would be good. I thought it was a good draft for the Titans, with the 2 glaring exceptions, which we've kind of already addressed here. The one being wide receiver. I think I saw a list, and I don't know who put it together, but you know, put however much weight into these lists that you want, but it had the Titans wide receiver core. I think it had them rated as like 30th in the league right now, which I think, I don't know, maybe it's probably right down there. I think the first comment I saw from my fellow Titans fan, James, over on the bounce was that, how are the Texans above us? That was his only comment. But so I think that I would have liked to have seen them get a receiver, and the Will Levis thing is such a, I don't know how to feel about it, because for months, every Titans fan I knew was dogging me, telling me to get ready for Will Levis. And, you know, just like, this guy's going to be nothing, and you guys are going to be stuck with him, and we're going to be kings of the South for so long. And now he's playing for the Titans. So I don't know how to feel about it, because I spent 2 months.
I was definitely one of the ones that said that. You know, I remember I posted in a group chat about that. The Colts are falling in love with Will Levis. I'm like, yes.
How long do we hear of them? This is like, so what, 4 months of listening to Titans fans, Jags fans, and Texans fans, especially, were probably the most vocal people about, oh, the Colts are going to get Will Levis. The Colts are going to do this, that, and the other. They were just whoever they perceived as, and I quote, the worst quarterback out of the bunch. That's who they wanted for Colts fans. So yeah, watching the Titans, you know, get Will Levis, I was like, oh, this is quite a turn.
Man. They've been letting me. I can't. I ain't gonna lie. I had to take a break for AFC South fan, but I said I can't even go in there, man. I can't even. I don't even want to look at it and see what they saying. Hey, all I see was Mayo. This. Oh, you Titan fan, this is what y'all deserve. I'm like, everybody was laughing. I'm talking about my phone. I had over 100 messages, like, from group chats. Hey man, you drafted Will Levis.
Oh no. Had to put that on Do Not Disturb.
Lord have mercy. That was a long day. That draft, man. I stopped watching the draft. Like, after we got, okay, I was like, okay, at least in 3rd round, we're gonna get a wide receiver that he can throw to. You know, man, we can make him look good. And I seen Tajay Spears. I'm like, oh, I'm cutting this off. I cut it off. I went somewhere else. I was like, you know, I'm done watching football, man. I ain't gonna lie. I was sitting in the car, like, I'm like, man, I gotta put up with this darn franchise, man. I'm like, my dad's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, so I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna be a Steelers fan, man. I'm just gonna put down everything on the wall. I'm looking at their draft. I'm like, man, they got Darnell Washington, all the players I wanted. Like,
they had themselves a draft.
Yeah, I feel you. My dad's a Bears fan.
I'm never turn on the Titans. I just can't. I'm too deep in the game.
You know, Kev, I would probably echo some of those sentiments. Like, I was watching the Titans. Like, I remember. I think I put this in the group chat too. I was like, where's their wide receiver? Like, who's going to play wide receiver for them? Because the last time I checked I'm going to pull up my imaginary roster here. The last time I checked, it was Chig Okonkwo, who was like their number 1 wide receiver outside of anyone named Traylon Burks. And it just is not pretty. So I did not understand, like, not drafting one to the 7th round. And I get it. Like, I get it if you're not big on this class. But the thing is, you don't have depth. You don't have productive depth. You don't even have productive starters at this point. You went and grabbed, I think, Chris Moore from the Texans, and
yeah, I'm like, why we get that dude?
He's like the Texans wide receiver 4. And so I'm like, I don't know what you what's happening here?
I already told you. I was looking. Hey, we're running a triple option this year, man. Georgia Tech. That's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna have you watch the Army and Navy game. That's exactly what we're gonna do. You know, that's exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out there, the wing T. You know what I'm saying? Traylon Burks. You know, he could be a running back too. You know. With Chig Conquo, he got a little bit of running back in him. You know, that's all we do is draft running backs. You feel me?
I mean, I think the Titans will be fine, but I definitely think that it's going to take some time still to figure out what your offensive identity is, particularly as it relates to like, do I think Tannehill's going to stay the start of the whole season? I'm not so sure about that answer. Yeah, I mean, now let me say this. Do I think Tannehill's the best quarterback on your roster? Yes, I do. But I don't know how much tread he has left and grace he has left with the franchise. That's kind of, at least from my seat as a Colts fan here, like, I don't know how much grace he has left. We've been hearing a lot about, you know, hey, like the franchise could move on, you know, didn't even know if he was going to be on the roster, you know, really. So I would not be shocked if you see Will Levis before the season ends. Where I am a little, I don't know, perplexed is what are you going to do with Malik Willis? Because I feel like you drafted him and then like you got a couple of games out of him, you're like, okay, great, he's not ready. And then you drafted Will Levis this year. So I'm like, did you just give up? Was that a white flag on Malik Willis? I don't know that answer.
Yeah,
I think they're gonna trade him, man. They're gonna probably give him do this training camp, see how he looks, and I think he's gone. I don't know. They're talking about him not even making a 53-man roster. We're gonna see. I don't know what they're gonna do. I think the Titans are gonna wait till post June 1st cuts to try to look for a wide receiver because I'm sure there's gonna be some wide receivers that are gonna get cut. They're gonna try to find somebody out of that. And literally, all we need is honestly, in my opinion, we just need a wide receiver that's just gonna take the top off of defense. If we can, they help open up Traylon Burks. Because I just feel like Traylon Burks, he has wide receiver one potential. I've seen it in multiple games. I've seen it against the Bengals. I've seen it against the Packers. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it in other games, especially the Eagles. He made some big catches in that game before he got hurt. And big catch in that game before he got hurt. And he scored a touchdown. He has a wide receiver one potential. He just got to be more consistent. I mean, what wound up killing him this season was that he came to training camp. Out of shape, and obviously they were making all type of jokes with that. They were calling him Cheeseburger Burks, and I thought that was the funniest thing ever.
Oh, no.
And they still ain't let me down. they still ain't let him live it down. He came out of shape. I think he's gonna now. I think he understands the NFL a little bit more, so we should see a better Traylon Burks this year. I still don't understand why we got Chris Moore. And Nick Westbrook-Ikhine to me is a wide receiver 4, but it looks like we're going to play him at 3 this year. And another person that's getting slept on this season that he didn't play a lot last year was Kyle Phillips. I thought Kyle Phillips was a really good receiver for us. He was too small. Like, man, it seemed like every time he got hit, I was like, oh yeah, that's gonna be the one to take him out. You know what I'm saying? That one right there, y'all. He not gonna make it. He was just too small, man. And I think the same day is probably going to happen to Tank Dell in the beginning because he's just 170 pounds. Every time he get hit, he's going to get stuck. Like, you know, it's going to knock him back about 3 feet. He just didn't have the NFL body yet. Now, hopefully he's been in the gym. You know what I'm saying? We're going to see what he looks like this year. And he's going to probably be our starting slot. A lot of people sleep on him. Dude is a very, very good route runner. He's probably as good as a route runner as Josh Downs, in my opinion. But obviously, Josh Downs, he'll have more athleticism, in my opinion. So,
you heard that right, Kev? This is recorded, so I just
later
on when people start trashing Josh Downs, like we just want to know that we got this recorded. Like,
no,
I got the time.
My thing with the Colts, you guys overhyped this man Jonathan Taylor to them. He was never better than Derrick Henry. He was never better.
We might be guilty.
Well, listen. We might be guilty of it at times. I'll say this: I've always given Derrick Henry his flowers. He's always been one of the best to me, so that's never been a thing. But I think I think we got into this conversation with James last year, Kev, as well. And I was basically telling him, I was like, hey, like, you're going to put some respect on Jonathan Taylor's name here. Like,
yeah, Jonathan Taylor's
we know he's not Derrick Henry, but like, I think it was just bad because we were feeling Titans fans like just throw dirt on the man that like he wasn't nothing. I'm like,
Look, but everybody said he was good. There's not a Titan fan that didn't say he was good. It was just the fact that he never does anything against us. So Titan fans are gonna be delusional and be like, "Oh, he's not good." I'm like, he's definitely good. We have a very good run defense. Like you can't.
I was about to say your defense is one of the best in the league.
Yeah. Now, that's one thing about the Titans, man. You're not gonna run on them, you know what I'm saying? But you could probably pass on us all day. But we love stopping the run and making you sitting third and long, you know. But yeah, that's one thing that we always take pride in is stopping other team running back and they're running on you all day, you know, and eating the clock. So that's how they play.
Things that they like to do to other teams. That's what it is. They're just like, oh, nope, not here. All right,
yeah,
cool.
I mean, if they got to tackle Derrick Henry in practice, I'm sure everybody else is a lot easier to wrap up.
Yeah, I feel like Derrick Henry definitely makes our run defense better. Like,
he should get a defensive award probably too.
But yeah, Jonathan Taylor's a beast. I always respected him. We just got tired of Colt fans trying to tell it because like it was that season that Derrick Henry got hurt and he hurt.
I know. Yep.
He had 1,000 yards in like 5 games. We were like, dude, finna break the record. Like, the
AFC trash talk group on Facebook, the AFC South trash talk, it got a little nuts with King Henry being dethroned, and I'm like, guys, he's injured right now, and he's still cracked, he's almost 1,000 yards.
I'm like,
we're gonna pay for this one, and then we did.
Like I said, I like Jonathan Taylor. I remember when we were going through the draft, I'm like, man, we get Jonathan Taylor, dude. I'm like, man, we put him right back next to Derrick Henry. Them two gonna be nice. And next thing you know, I see y'all traded up. I'm like, what do Colts trade up for? You guys didn't have a second round pick because y'all had picked already. I think y'all ain't have a second round pick, and I'm like, who they finna pick? And then Jonathan Taylor popping. I'm like, freaking Colts. Like they always want everybody I want. Like
I mean. Fair, we didn't think we were getting Jonathan Taylor either. It was just as much of a shock for us as it was for you.
Coach, y'all take everybody we want. Every time I look, I'm looking because during the draft, I always got my certain players that I, that I favorite and have favorites towards, and y'all always get them. And they're fair guy. I wanted Jelani Woods. Jelani Woods was my tight end. I was
just come be a Colts fan. It's fine. We will welcome you. We won't even speak about your Titans fandom. It's completely fine. Like
I like Chig though. But I bet Jelani Woods was my tight end. I said, I want him. That boy is going to be a problem. And next thing you know, you guys pick him. I'm like, Lord have mercy.
Now we just got to figure out how to use him within the flow of the game, and then we'll be fine.
Thank you. Can we use him on a consistent basis? Yes, Mo is still on the team. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But here's my bold prediction. I think he'll definitely be traded at some point. And my sleeper for the year is Jelani Woods. I was a big fan of him coming out of camp last year. Him and Drew before Drew got hurt. But yeah, please, by all means, give me more Jelani Woods. Like, give me more red zone targets. Give me more 35-yard catches. Like, give it all to me. We have sorely missed that sort of production from the tight end spot. And while I love Mo, and I think
Jack
Mo
Doyle
is
right? Don't get me started on Jack Doyle, man. We had Jack Doyle on our practice squad, and we cut him. He was on our practice squad, and we cut him, and he has killed us every single time. Like we play.
I told you should just come be a Colts fan. It's fine. Like we're not gonna say anything. Like nobody will know.
I'll never be a Colts fan.
All right. On that note, we're gonna swap over to the post game presser. So we talked quite a bit, and I'll swap us back out to 3 stacks here. All right. So we talked quite a bit about Titans football. Listen, I think RJ could probably go on for like another hour if we let him on Titans football, which I love, absolutely love. So this is the part of the podcast where you get to ask us questions. We will answer them truthfully, honestly, hilariously, whichever way we feel like we can. Go for it. What you got for us?
Okay, so outside of the anybody that was on the Super Bowl roster of the Colts, who is your favorite? Who was your favorite Indianapolis Colt?
Outside of the Super Bowl, that's not even.
Yeah, I gotta make it tough. I gotta make it tough.
All right. So I'm gonna throw this guy out here. And it's not a real big name. You got to be deep in the trenches to know this name. But Griff Whalen was a guy that I really liked.
Definitely. Yeah.
Look at Kev. Kev is like, what?
Oh, poor Griff. No. I feel Griff has taken a lot of flack for a play that wasn't his fault. The elusive fake punt that was never supposed to be snapped. Griff Whalen, I believe, was involved in that somehow, and wasn't really his fault, man. So no, I love me some Griff Whalen. Go on, Meg. I'm sorry. That was what my reaction. It wasn't because I didn't like the choice. I just instantly went back to that play, and I can still see the ball being snapped in slow motion. Sorry, go ahead. I'm going to mute myself.
So yeah, Griff Whalen is I probably have two if that's okay. So Griff Whalen was one, really smaller body wide receiver, but really good hands on him. He actually, I don't know, for whatever reason, Colts fans were really emotional about him not being on the team anymore. Like, not that he had like a ginormous role, but definitely, like, you can say that name, you'll know some Colts fans who like him. This is another one. Dante Moncrief was I liked Dante Moncrief when he was drafted. I'm probably bringing up some painful memories here from the Ryan Grigson days. But another guy who I really liked, who I thought like did not reach his full potential here at the Colts. Like I really thought that he had more in the tank there. But yeah, probably two wide receivers there that I would pick. So Kev, what you got? I'm interested to hear yours.
I'm going a little further back in the timeline here. Now, first and foremost, I will say my all-time favorite Colt, and the reason I was a Colts fan outside of living in Southern Indiana was the original number 28, Marshall Faulk. That was my favorite Colt of all time. But my first favorite Colt quarterback was this little guy right here. That's a Jim Harbaugh, for those of you who can't see it. Yeah, he keeps a spot on my wall. We'll put him back later. But yeah, so I was a mid to late 90s entry to the Colts fandom. So yeah, big Falk Harbaugh guy. My first real memory is that playoff game against the Steelers.
That's a good one. I like it.
Yeah, my dad tell you about that one, man. He's a huge we've been watching him since like the 70s, 80s, you know what I'm saying? So let me see, Steve. The reason I asked y'all that is because it's too easy to pick Peyton Manning, Reggie Wayne, and Marvin Harrison. Like, it's Adrian James. It's too easy to pick them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I got beat up when I picked Falk over James. People were like, "How could you put Marshall Falk?" I'm like, "Listen, I'm sorry, it's nostalgia. Don't hurt me."
I think Marshall Falk is better than Adrian James, and I like Adrian James. You know, I like it. It's a tough one. It's a tough one though. I like Marshall. It is though. It just look. I'm not a Colts fan, so like you know what I'm saying. So I value what he do in the passing game a little bit more than what Edge did in the rushing. You know what I'm saying. Even though Edge was a great running back, you know. And that's it. A lot of Titan fans ain't gonna like when I say this either. I think that Fred Taylor is a better running back than Eddie George, and I love Eddie. You know what I'm saying? I love Eddie. Eddie was he brought me to he was one of the first. You know, brought me to the Tennessee Titans. You know what I'm saying? I have an Eddie George jersey that's a small. You know what I'm saying? When I was a little kid when I was watching them. But
I like that though. I don't think Fred Taylor and his wide receiving running mate Jimmy Smith, I don't think they get enough credit.
Yeah, they don't get them,
for their role in the history of the AFC South. Jacksonville had some good teams when those guys were playing.
Yeah, well, technically they weren't even in there. It was the AFC Central. Then
I guess that's true, right? Well, that would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to be in the same division as Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Cincinnati. You know what I'm saying? Browns. You know, the Cleveland Browns, all those teams. So, like I said, the hate is still there between those. I can't stand the Baltimore Ravens. Like Baltimore Ravens and Titans, you can see nothing but fights. You seen how they jumped on our logo after the end of the game. You know what I'm saying? After they beat us in the playoffs, I think it was 2020. And that was super disrespectful.
That
was super disrespectful. Like, and we've actually played the Ravens this year, and I'm let you know now something crazy gonna happen in that game because Mike Vrabel and the Harbaugh, they do not like each other at all. Like it's just bad blood between those two franchises. The Pittsburgh Steelers, we don't have a good standing with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's been going back since the Houston Oilers days. The Pittsburgh fans and Titans fans have been going at it out here in Tennessee for years. You know what I'm saying? So And my dad, like I said, me and my dad, Pittsburgh. Excuse me, I'm a Titans fan. My dad, Pittsburgh Steelers fan. He always talk trash about the Titans. So, so like I said, it's definitely a rivalry. So obviously the Cincinnati Bengals is starting to heat back up a little bit because of that playoff game. We're gonna get them back. Let you know, it's gonna happen. We're gonna get them back. We're gonna get them back. Let me see. What we ask you guys some questions. Actually, because I think it was about the questions. Let me see. So what do you guys think of Anthony Richardson? Like, how do y'all feel about that pick?
Oh, Kev, I'll let you go first. I'll let you go first on that one.
Was he your guy?
I will say he was, given the options of Richardson and Levis, he was my guy. Mm-hmm. However, I still have a lot of questions. I had a lot of questions coming into the draft. You know, I've said some of these before, so forgive me if you've heard them before, but the accuracy is a big issue. You know, the number of uncatchable balls with a clean pocket was concerning to me. But my thoughts were always, you're going after potential, whether it's Levis or Richardson, it's a project. Give me the project that has the highest potential upside. And then there's the whole Shane Steichen and how he could potentially work with Richardson, work around that offense. And then I really like everything I've seen out of Richardson since he got drafted, with the exception of carrying the football everywhere. I love everything the guy has done since he got here, but carrying a football with you every single place you go gives me some Russ Wilson vibes, and I'm just not here for it. I think we need to chill. we need to chill out. All right. I dig what you're doing here. I dig the commitment to your role, but that's one step too far. Meg, what about you?
Okay, so Anthony Richardson was not my guy. I was actually really high, and I've been really high on Bryce Young, although I knew it was a pipe dream for us to get him, right?
Yeah, Stroud was my pipe dream.
Yeah. Now I will say this: in the weeks leading up to the draft, when it became apparent that CJ Stroud could fall to 4, I was like, okay, well, hey,
we wasn't about to let that happen. We was trade up 3.
Well, I figured at some point, like, the Colts would either have to make a decision, like, all right, are we going to sit at 4, or if Stroud's available, are we going to jump up and go get him? But it also depended on how they felt about Stroud. But I will say this, it wasn't necessarily a bad relationship between them or anything else like that. You saw CJ Stroud talk about how Chris Ballard was checking on him, regularly, things like that. So obviously he had a good visit with them. And in my mind, he was tier 1 in terms of the quarterbacks, with Bryce Young, 1A, and Stroud 1B. In tier 2, I had, of course, Anthony Richardson and Will Levis. I'm probably in the same line as Kev, where, if I got to pick between the two, it's not that I didn't like Levis. I just thought Richardson had more of an upside. At 13 starts, you really don't have a clear picture of what he can do. But when you turn on the tape, you certainly see wow, this kid has potential here. And then you see the things where it's like, okay, yeah, he's really young. I think where Levis came into play was and I won't say talked myself into Levis, but at least was like, hey, if Levis is a pick, how are you going to feel? Was like, okay, he's an athlete, dude's a gamer, put the right talent around him. He can make it work and survive out there. I think for Will Levis, what I felt like, what I saw him where I was like, I'm not really sure, was more so of where do I see his ceiling? And I felt like his ceiling was a Ryan Tannehill. That that's the comp I had kind of seen for him, which I thought was a really good comp for him. So I didn't know if that's something that would have aligned with the Colts. So that's really kind of where I was like, all right, we got to be realistic about who are they going to pick? So I'll say this: now that Richardson's been drafted, I love the pick. It was good, for them to stay at 4 and not give up any draft capital. I'm fine with that. Completely fine with that. Fine with the way that he's carried himself as well. Very humble guy. Excuse me. Very humble guy. Love the character about him. Just love the fact that he's very open and honest. One of the things that I thought that he said was very poignant in his opening presser was, he said, I haven't earned anything. I haven't done anything yet. So I got to come in here and I got to work. And I thought that was really honest. That was probably the most honest answer I've seen from any of the quarterbacks. And I was like, okay, for the dude that had so many questions about him, he's real and honest about where he is and what he's got to do. So I think he landed in the best possible position, which I was excited for that, for the pairing of Shane Steichen and Anthony Richardson. What they can do together. If you saw the leap that Justin Herbert had, if you saw the leap that, Jalen Hurts had, like, okay, Shane Steichen is capable of getting that out of him, along with quarterback coach Cam Turner. So Richardson, definitely patience. Let me say that. And reps. Like, get him all the reps that he can, within reason, of course, of him understanding his playbook, and in protections, and like, let the kid go. Like, he's going to make his mistakes. He's going to, make some wow throws as well, but he's got to learn. He has to learn. He's got to get on the job training. So I'm fine with it now. Now, whether or not they start him, first week, I have no idea. They might not. But I don't think it's going to be, week 14, and they're still talking about whether or not they, should start Richardson at that point. Like, I think you're going to see him this season.
Yeah. One thing if you go watch our Titans Colosseum, we broke down every single quarterback, and I always said it during the podcast. I'm like, every time I cut on this film, I'm like if I didn't watch obviously I'm a big SEC guy, so if I didn't watch SEC football and I just looked at highlights of all the quarterbacks, I think he's the best quarterback in this draft. And people's like, oh, what? And I'm like, if you watch the highlights, dude runs a 4, like, you know what I'm saying? That's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? Quarterback, he can throw the whole field. He's the most talented quarterback in this draft. I hate that I'm gonna have to see it 2 times a year. I'm about to watch this dude grow in front of my very eyes with y'all team, and I'm like, I'm scared of what he's going to become, but at the same time, he does have a bust factor to him. He has Malik Willis in him, and I'm praying it's Malik Willis. I'm praying it's Malik Willis, but man, if he puts it all together, and I said it when he was at Florida before Tennessee was about to play, and I'm like, man, they got a talented quarterback. I'm like, if that dude puts it all together, he's going to be a problem. I see why he's a first round pick, but then I saw the Kentucky game, and I'm like, okay, he definitely got some bad. He got some stuff he need to work on, And like the Utah game was the first game that I watched of him, and I'm like, dude, that dude is talented, man. I've never seen a quarterback that could just take off like that, But like I do appreciate what you said about Will Levis, though. I agree 100% that he has a high ceiling. That reminds me of Tannehill, and I always tell people, I was like, if Tannehill was drafted by the Tennessee Titans, we would look at him as a lot different quarterback than what we look at him, because it's time in Miami. Miami they were just terrible, on top of Tannehill can't be in a bad situation or he's gonna look like that, and the same thing with Will Levis. Will Levis cannot be in a bad situation, but if you put the right talent around a Will Levis or a Tannehill, he can survive, so you see he can be a good quarterback. It's all about the talent that's around him. And the only thing I do like about Will Levis is that we're not gonna have to pay him the Joe Burrow money. You know what I'm saying? Like we can always put talent around him. We'll probably be paying him like probably $30 million a year instead of 50. Did y'all see that they were gonna restructure Patrick Mahomes' contract so he's the highest paid quarterback?
Yep.
I saw a rumbling of that today. Didn't I get a chance to read it, but I did see the rumbling of that, and I'm like, you know what? I just bookmarked it for later because I was like, I need to come back and see what is this about.
I will say though that I cannot wait till the Jaguars pay Trevor Lawrence, because I know he can't do it without the talent. I know he can't do it. I can't wait. My friends in my group chat, man, they've been talking all this mess. Now, I said, all right, y'all can talk trash now. Look, I said, but when they pay Trevor Lawrence, y'all gonna see that he can't do it without all them players around him.
So I will say this. I think you're right. I think this is now a division of where, hey, everybody's got to be in the right situation, right? Will Levis has got to be in the right situation. Certainly CJ, certainly, Anthony Richardson. So I look forward to whatever chaos this season is going to bring. Because that's the best I got right now. I think, AFC South, everyone had certain opinions of what it was going to be like. Even, us as Colts fans, I think we were even like, oh, I'll be honest. In my mind, I was like, oh, well, the floor is 9 wins and the ceiling is 12 wins. All right, let's go. I'm confident. And then to see it all go down like that, you're like, okay. So I was confident, but in the back of my mind, I was always like, you know what? Our offensive line needs some work. Oh, we need some more wide receivers. It was always there. But I was like, all right, I'm just going to roll with it. And we're going to go with it. And, if you watch any of the previous podcasts Kevin and I have done, all the way back to our Indy Intercept days. Like, we were in pain for much of that season. Lots of lamenting on that season. But I think to say that now is like, hey, now everyone's got a chance to pretty much at a favorable ground. Outside of the Jags, the Jags have stability, and everyone else is like, okay, we need to get ourselves together. So excited for whatever the season brings. Chaos or not, wins or not in certain cases. I'm going to wish you luck, except for when you play the Colts. And that's that. But all right, so we want to say thank you so much for coming on and sharing a ton of Titans knowledge. Like, we don't normally get, Titans fans that are like willing to like hang out with Colts fans and talk. They're usually like, wow, what do you want from us? But we appreciate you. So I want to give you a chance to tell people like where they can find you on your podcast, where they can find you on the internet.
Okay. You guys can find Titans Colosseum. You can type it in on YouTube. It's on Facebook. You know what I'm saying? Any big time social media network you can find. You can find me on Twitter. You can also find Titans Colosseum on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. I think my name should be on there hold on a second. It should be on the I guess like the name tag that's on this StreamYard or whatever. At the RJ show, I put the 2 underscores in the beginning of a D and the ending of show. So if you guys want to find me on Twitter, I say a lot of crazy things on there. You'll see a lot of Tennessee Vol stuff, a lot of Tennessee Titans stuff, Los Angeles Lakers. You'll see a lot of all that stuff on there. But yeah, if you want to find me on Twitter, I'm there too. Find me on Facebook, RJ Ellison. I'm there too. So
all right.
Pretty crazy on Facebook.
Yeah, I was going to say different kind of chaos on Facebook. All right, Kev, where can the people find you on the internets?
Well, I'll certainly be following you, RJ. And I want to say before I go into all of my places where you can find me, I did see in the comments a couple of folks reminded me that Russell Wilson did win a few things in his time in Seattle. So maybe I should just accept it. And so I just want you all to know that I've heard you, and I'm going to try to do better, and I'm just going to work with what we've got right now. But in the meantime, you can find me on Twitter at @KevNevick_. Same thing for Facebook. I am live every Thursday at 9 p.m. talking hoops with a Titans fan of all people, my dear friend James. So if you want to talk NBA with us, that's over at Bite Size Sports. You can find that everywhere there is internet. That's where you'll find me.
All right. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram underneath the Megan Hall. Also, of course, you can find us on YouTube, Hall About Sports. Make sure you subscribe, of course. We want you to come hang out with us. And because we like to do all the things, you can find us on TikTok as well, Hall About Sports Pod, POD. And finally, of course, the brand new website, hallaboutsports.com, is now up and running. So you're going to get my passion projects. You're going to get the podcast. You're going to get all the things from me, from Kev, and of course, our lovely guests as well. So you've been listening to the Hall About Sports podcast with Megan Hall, where the sports are real, the sounds of the game are real, and yes, the stories are real too. We will catch you next episode. Peace out.